In this video, we will learn how to deal with missing data using multiple imputation through SPSS. We will divide it into three main steps. Step number one, we will be checking the pattern of missing data. In step number two, it's to impute the data according to the pattern or lack of pattern. And the third and final step is to pool the imputed data into a complete data set. But before you begin, you need to decide whether data imputation is necessary or even appropriate. If you have too little missing data, you may not need to use a multiple imputation method, or if you have too much missing data, then it might not be appropriate to use an imputation method. Once you have your data set complete on Excel, you will realize that perhaps some countries have got quite a bit of missing data, and also some of the variables are quite incomplete. If you have a particular country with too much missing data and that country is not really crucial as a potential destination for your firm, then it might be just simpler to delete that country. Or if there is a variable with too much missing data again, it might be better to delete that particular variable. If the variable is crucial, then you may need to look for an alternative, for some sort of proxy that gives you relatively the same information. So providing that the missing data that you have is not too much on any particular country or variable, then there are ways to try to recover that missing data by following some imputation techniques and methods. And that's precisely what we're going to be doing now. So as you can see in your Excel, there is variables here: wine consumption for the population with missing values there. There is also another alcoholic consumption, GDP per capita, another one, wine imports, and a few other variables for which you have missing data as well. Here is another one. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of missing data throughout the entire data set. And we will see how we can recover that missing data by following that imputation technique. Fortunately, we don't seem to have a particular country with too much missing data or a particular variable with too many missing values as well. Therefore, we will not delete any of the countries or variables, and we will try to recover them all. So what you have to do is to import these data sets that you've created in your Excel file, import it into SPSS. Okay, and we will see how to do that. You will have to open up your SPSS and then go to File and Import Data. You click on Excel and then you go and select where the document where you have that data, and then you will need to import the data to the document. So this is what happens. As you can see, it gives me the option to choose what particular page from the Excel that I want to import from. In this case, I will import missing data, okay, where I have that data set with the missing data. And in this case, I will select this because it shows the read variable names from the first row of data. Just to show you, I've been careful enough to keep the first row with the name of the variable. So there it goes. That's why when in SPSS I'm doing the import, I'm able to select this option. Okay, then I will click OK. There it goes. The data has been imported into SPSS and we've got it nicely organized the same way we had it in our Excel document. Let's go to the variable view. That's important. Okay, when you go to the variable view, you will notice that there are then various columns, okay, in which you have the name of the country, the variable, and then you've got some characteristics in terms of the type, the width. Something which I haven't done here, but I strongly recommend you to do, is to take a bit more time and to actually create and label the names of the various variables. Remember, you will be working in groups, and therefore some of you may be doing some variables, others other variables, and after a while you will not remember anymore what these names mean. Therefore, for instance, obviously country is an easy one. You would almost not need to label, but I will just still label above age of 65. There he goes. And then you go and label all those various variables. Be careful in doing that. Something which is important as well is here, where you have the measure. So as you can see, country is a nominal variable and the other variables are scale variables. So I've selected them all there. So going back to our data set, it's nicely organized here. And it is now that we will have to talk about the multiple imputation for these missing variables that we've got here and throughout the entire data set. So let's start with step number 1, checking the pattern of missing data. So for that purpose, then we will go to check if there is a pattern of missingness. We will go to Analyze menu here, and you move down and look at where it says multiple imputation. That's precisely what we are attempting to do. Then what at this stage you are looking for is to analyze precisely the patterns. Okay, so once you're there, you will obviously not select country code or country name, but rather all the other variables, and you will move the variables into the Analyze Across Variables window. In that case, there are several options already pre-selected, which you will keep them. Okay, in this case, you just need to be careful whether you do have more than 25 variables. In this case, I do not have more than 25, so I'll keep that 25. And here, this option, it keeps it at the 10% level, but I will reduce it to 0.01 to ensure that we will display all types of the missing data for all variables, basically, not only those above a certain threshold. So once you've done that, then you click on OK. So SPSS will compute and will produce an output document. Okay, so this, as you can see, this document here is separate from the data. Okay, it's connected and related to the data document that you had created before, but this is an output document here. And therefore, that's the one we are going to be looking at now, the result of the analysis you've just done for the pattern. So this diagram gives you a brief summary. And as you can see here, you do have an indication of what's missing in the variables. Apparently then, there are 46%, which is 12 variables with some missing data. And in terms of cases, in this case we are talking about countries, there are actually 16 countries that have got some missing data. More importantly, it's this chart here, pie chart here, showing the overall missing data, the values, which is multiplying the number of variables by cases. And as you can see, there is only 1%, 1.2%, roughly 24 missing values out of all missing values. Therefore, it's okay, we can go ahead with the multiple imputation technique then. The summary table is not that important. It will just give you an overview for what variables have got some missing cases and the percentage as well, so that's not important. This is indeed the most important output that we are looking for right now. It's to see whether there is any missing data. As you can see, there is no clear pattern. There are some random missing values throughout, rather than all clustering around here and around the bottom right hand side corner. So step number 2 then is to impute data according to the pattern or no pattern. In this case, we do not have a pattern. We are now ready to move on to the next phase. Step number 2, which is the imputation according to the pattern O, in this case, no pattern, as we've seen in the previous phase. So you go back to your data set and you go to transform in this case, okay? Once you go to transform, you're going to be generating random numbers. So this is the choice you will pick, random number generation here. What it does, it is a multiple iterations until generates multiple iterations until it finds a suitable data for your set through various regressions. So let's then select random number generate. There it goes, and it opens up this window. Okay, so we've got this, in this case, set active generator. Okay, and in that case we will pick up the Mersenne twister, okay, which is for the random number generator. Remember when we did the pattern analysis of if there was a pattern, we found out that there was not a pattern. We will pick that option there. In terms of the active generator initiation, okay, we will pick up a fixed value and we'll keep it as it is, and basically we will go for the OK. So almost nothing happens to the output document here that we saw before. Okay, so as you can see, we basically have almost what we had before. It seems as if nothing has happened. However, you have indeed set up the scene for the actual imputation exercise. So in this case, once you've done that, okay, you go back to your data set document and you click on the analyze, and this is where we actually do the imputation itself. Okay, so in this case we will go down, okay, to multiple imputation. Okay, and we are no longer analyzing the patterns because we've already done that. We are actually going to be imputing missing data values. So here you will actually select all variables in the variables menu and move them all to the variables in model. You will keep here the imputations to 5. You can choose between 3 and 10, but we'll keep it 5. I think 5 imputations is pretty robust, so we'll keep it to 5. Here then there is the choice to create a new data set, okay, and we will do that. So here we will type a name, okay, and you choose what you want to type. I will in this case say country multi-input data. Okay, that's the new name I'll give to this new data set. Once you've done that, okay, you go to method, okay, and in the method there is this option which is automatic, okay, and it gives you the option to customize. So if you had selected here the custom and you had realized that before there was no pattern, you should have picked up this one, which is the marker chain Monte Carlo method. And if there was the pattern, you would pick the monotone. But because SPSS is quite clever, we will let it choose for you, okay, though we know that this one was probably the appropriate for our missing data, since there was no particular pattern. Okay, then we have to move on to the next window, which is constraints. Okay, so here we will do a scan, okay, a scan of the data. And as you can see, the scan of the data is showing you what percent is missing for each of those variables. And you can see if you scroll down, some of the variables, alcoholic consumption growth rate is the one we had actually seen before with more missing values. And also what's important, it gives you the observed minimum and observed maximum. You can go to each one of those variables and type the maximum values and the minimum values. This is important. Those constraints are really important because remember, the software will be, through regressions, will be generating numbers for you, and if you are providing some reference points to what are the highest and the lowest figures for a particular variable, that's helpful. In case of wine consumption, it's got 4% missing. So we've got there then 0.1 for wine consumption, and we've got 0.1 there, 4.11 as a maximum value, and we do that for all the other values with missing numbers. So there it goes. We've already reduced all those maximum and minimum values. And next we need to go to output. In the output window, you need to select descriptive statistics and create iteration history. Here we will call it country iteration history. And then you click basically OK. The third and final step is to pull the imputed data into a complete dataset. We now go to the newly created dataset, which we call country imputation data, and we will then proceed. As you can see in this column showing imputation, you have the number of the imputation. So 0 means it's the original data, no imputation. So the missing values are still missing. You can see it here, so they are still missing. If you go to imputation 1, so you will see highlighted in yellow now, the missing values, previously missing values have been now added, imputed, and this is all in imputation 1. If you go to imputation 2, again, it did the same thing, imputation 4 and 5. We did set for 5 multiple imputations, so there goes the complete data set with the newly imputed data. If you now go to the original data, you have to delete basically the original data. So you have to select, so go to the beginning of the file, select all original data and delete that original data. Okay, so let's select all 75 countries. That's the number of countries that we have. So all with 0 will be deleted. Right click and clear. There it goes. Once we've done that, next step is to sort the data. So let's sort the data. Okay, sort cases, and here we choose first to sort by country code and then imputation number, and we sort by imputation number, ascending order, and OK. So what you can see now is that it's sorted out. So you can see that, for instance, the first 5 cases by 5 imputations, all for country 1, okay, and which is Antigua and Barbuda. So this is sorted out, and they did it for all the other countries according to the various imputations. So what we need to do next then is to go to utilities. Okay, in utilities we will go to the OMS control panel, which stands for Output Management System, and there you will select first tables, then you will select here frequencies. So there it goes, frequencies, and then here in the table subtypes you will select then statistics. Okay, now we go to these output destination windows, and in that window we will create a new data set, and this new data set is going to be our final, we will call even country final or country imputed pooled data set. And that's because we are pulling all the data set into one single document, so all the various imputations. So once we've created this new type, we then have two options. There it goes. And in options, we will select all dimensions in single row. Once you've selected that, you will click in continue. Okay. Here in the output destinations, still click in exclude from viewer. Once you've done that, then you are ready to add that to the request. So you've made the request here. Okay, so now that you have made the request for the OMS procedure, now you will be splitting the file. Okay, so let me just click then OK and OK. Perfect. So we'll go back to our data set. Okay, country input data. And here we will then go to data. Okay, in data, you will select split file. So be just careful to select a split file and not split into files, but rather a split file. There you goes. Here you have selected split file. So you select by country ID, okay, which is in this case country code, and organize by groups. So ensure that you move country code into groups based on country ID. Once you've done that, you create OK and then continue. It is processing, and you will not see that because it's doing the calculations in a virtual file. So again, now that's done, let's go back to our country input data. Okay, and we will go to analyze now. And in analyze, we'll do descriptive statistics, and in descriptive statistics, we will select frequencies. Okay, now let's select all the variables, excluding imputation, country code, and country number. So let's select all the other variables then. Here it goes to the variables window. Once we've selected the variables, go to statistics, and in statistics select mean and mode, and then continue. It is processing the output, SPSS, okay, and it will show you the various frequency tables, and here will show again frequencies, percentages of the various variables. Okay, so at the moment this is not critical. Let's go then to utilities. Okay, and in utilities we will need to lock and close the OMS procedure that we had initiated before. So what we do is we go back again to the OMS control panel. Okay, and there it goes. If you remember, you had put that request before, and you click, this is important, click in and all to lock that procedure. Okay, so you click and all, okay, and there it goes, okay. Now it's processing and it will be creating then the new final pool data set, and this is the most important data set for the pool data. Okay, the imputed pool data, and here it is. If you look at, this is the last data set that it has created, which is called indeed, as we called it before, so country imputed pool data set. Wonderful. We are making good progress and getting there. Now in the final pooled imputed data set, we have to delete and clean it and delete some of the variables. So let's do that. So these variables here, command, subtype, label, and then all the ones that show valid. Okay, there you go, selecting more, valid. There's quite a few. Valid political risk, okay, more. And then the ones also showing missing. Okay, missing for all those same variables, so there's quite a few. We'll need to select them all. Here we are, be careful and be patient, okay. Let's move, and there it goes. So up until here, missing. So we will go and delete those variables. And in this case, because we only have scale data, then these variables are all scale variables, we will then select the modes, keep only the mean. Okay, so let's move a bit to the left. There you go. So mean population, so all mean, and get to mode. There he goes. And we will select all the modes and delete them. If we had not just scale variables but rather ordinal and also nominal, then we could have kept the modes rather than just the means. So in this case, because we don't have, we will clear and keep only the means. Okay, so there it goes. Now it is our clean data set. All done. Just one more detail before you complete the whole data set, which is you need to go to the variable view of this newly created imputed data set. And as you can see, we have lost the properties that we had assigned to the original file. So what we'll do now is copy the properties to this document and then ensure that we have the same properties. Okay, let's do that. So for that purpose, we go to our original document, which we had, country ranking imputation. That was the original document that we had. And here it goes. We will select then those variables, okay, and copy the properties. So now we don't have country number but name but just country code, and we will therefore select first, copy, select all these variables, okay, with their respective, so properties in the variable view, copy. We will go to our a newly created pooled imputed data set, and we will then select and paste. Let's select them all, and there it goes, paste. Perfect. As you can see, it has changed, so the measures are already there, and whatever characteristics we had before, it's copied there. Let's just do for the country code as well. Back to the original, here it is, country code, Control C, and back to the final pooled data and do the same here, paste. There you go. So, and that is bingo. So job done. We now no longer have missing values, and we have, through a multiple imputation method, completed the data set. So you do not need to delete any countries or any variables for your analysis, and you may proceed with your regressions or country ranking, country clustering exercises. A lot of work, so let's ensure that you save this final data set. Okay, save, job done.